All right. Geoff, losing a fight is not something that you're used to doing very often. So I got to wonder, I mean, I guess just how tough was it for you to kind of cope with the result and start moving forward?
It wasn't tough at all. You know what I mean? Losing is a part of the sport. You know, you win some, you lose some. You know, and I learned a lot from that fight. You know, so I take it for what it is. You know, just moving forward is my only focus.
Were there any regrets at all? I mean, I know you had a bunch of hurdles, right? I mean, there were so many things that were difficult for you to get over just to get into that fight. So were there any regrets that maybe you didn't back out, maybe you didn't say, you know, this is too much?
No, I mean, I signed up for this sport, you know what I mean? It's never too much. I'm a fighter, so, you know what I mean? Regardless of the obstacles and stuff that I had to deal with, you know, I fought through it, you know what I mean? I still took the fight, you know, went 5 rounds with a beast, and I didn't die.
You talk about the lessons you take out of it. When you talk about the lessons, is it, you know, specifics like technical to the fight, or is it more just like the whole kind of levels to this game type of thing?
I mean, a little bit of both, you know what I mean? There are levels to this game, and specific things like, you know what I mean, that he was able to keep his focus for 5 rounds straight, you know what I mean, regardless of how tired he was, you know what I mean? He didn't show me he was tired. Like, just for somebody to keep that focus for 5 rounds straight, that just lets me know the level of, like, mentally, the level I need to be at.
And then you get this matchup here. Is this a matchup that you wanted to see put back together? Was this like an important fight for you to have again?
Yeah, for sure. It's really important for, like, you know what I mean, just like a test for, like, my future in the division, you know what I mean? Like, things I need to work on. You know, if I can't handle Magny's pressure, his wrestling, his grind, then there's no way I'm gonna be able to handle Usman or one of the guys up top. So I have to get through him to see where I'm at.
It does seem to be like one of those matchups that people try to avoid, right? You know,
Yeah,
so you came back to it. I mean, was there something important there, like a message you want to send?
No message. You know what I mean? This is for me. You know, I'm not here to send a message to anybody. You know, like I want to win, and I want to test myself, and I want to be the best fighter there is. So I gotta go through the best.
I noticed, and it seems like a recent trend. You were like, man, I got off social media. It was terrible. You know,
trash.
What happened? Because this seems to be something I'm hearing a lot of fighters say lately. Like, I just don't want to deal with it anymore.
It's toxic. Like, you know what I mean? There's, like, I get on social media and there's always, like, comments about this, comments about that. You know what I mean? Everything's getting political. You know what I mean? You can't say anything or somebody's gonna get offended, and it's just like, it's not what it used to be back when it was MySpace and, like, when Facebook first started, when it was fun. But you know what I mean? Like, now I get on social media and it's always something. You know what I mean? Somebody's trying to push a certain agenda. Somebody's offended by this. You know, it's toxic. And I stay away from it just to keep my peace.
I noticed one thing you did put on there. You said, though, I'm pissed off and I've never been happier about it. I mean, are you really, like, angry, or is that just kind of like a mindset you're adopting?
It's just like, it's a fire, you know what I mean? Like I'm pissed off, but, like, you know what I mean? It's like a fire that's in me, and, like, I like feeling that. I like feeling that anger, that aggression, you know? Like, that's what drove me to get here in the first place. So, you know, I can't really let go of that too early.
Nice. Last thing for me, I kind of wonder what your goal is here, because, like, I feel like there was so much hype, right? You were like the next big thing, and then you suffer one defeat. And, you know, yeah, I was gonna say that's how it is, right? Like, people just, I told you it wasn't that good. You know what I mean? So is there a goal to, like, send some kind of message or to prove a point that, hey, I am still that guy that everybody was hyped about?
I mean, I'm just gonna do what I do best, you know, and when it takes care of everything. So I'm just gonna win this fight, you know, and plan is to win it in devastating fashion, and that's the message I'm gonna send. I'm not looking to send a message, you know what I mean? I'm secure in who I am and what I am and, like, how I fight. So I really don't care what people say. I'm just gonna do what I do best.
Just out of curiosity, I'm interested, how much do you feel your day-to-day happiness has improved since getting off social media?
A lot. a lot. You know, like, not reading all these comments, not just, like, feeding into these, like, the trolls and all the stuff, you know what I mean? Because once you get away from social media, you realize that the world's really not that bad. You know, like, once you put your blinders on and just focus on what's in front of you, you see that all this shit is just, like, the media, the propaganda. It's there to piss you off. So don't look at it so you can get pissed off. You know, like, I wake up every day and I go to work. You know what I mean? Well, I used to go to work, but I go to the gym. You know what I mean? I take a shower. I eat my food. You know, life's good. So I'm not gonna let media persuade me any other way.
Do you think it's also done wonders for your productivity, right? Just not staring at a phone screen for hours on end?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I still play my video game, so I can't really talk about productivity.
I was wondering, with the Stephen Thompson fight, obviously you know, you want to win the fight, and it's disappointing you didn't. But do you look at that and sort of think that was almost a cool experience to realize, okay, I can still improve to levels of other guys?
Yeah, that's exactly what I took from it. You know what I mean? Like after the loss in the cage, I really wasn't like too torn up about it. But like when I went in the back, that's when I started breaking down. I was like, oh fuck, I fucking lost on national television. But no, it was an experience. You know what I mean? I'll do it again if I had to.
Does it sort of ease it any easier because Stephen Thompson's like a pretty nice guy, and it's not like they lost to a dickhead?
Exactly. That's probably the main reason. If he was a dickhead, I'd probably be still hurt about it.
Thanks, man.
That's it.
All right, we're back. Long time no see.
Do we have to address you as a UFC co-owner now? How does that?
Oh, you saw my post.
I did.
Yeah, well, on the day of the IPO, I figured it would be a cool opportunity. So I went ahead and I texted my friend James, who does this stuff for a living, and he hooked me up.
How's it performing so far? Are you tracking it daily, or is that one just tucked in the back for a little bit?
So my girlfriend told me, oh, great, another thing you're going to become obsessed with now. And I'm trying to not look at it because I look at it, I'm not a day trader. You know, I have a lot of investments that my uncle does for me, who's my financial advisor. He can't do IPOs, so my friend James did this for me, and he told me this is a long-term investment. You know, so I bought, a decent amount of shares. I think about 1,000 shares, and I don't know exactly what it's at. I think it was maybe $1 down from what it was yesterday at closing, but I mean, things fluctuate. I understand that. I'm not a day trader. I'm not going to buy it up and sell it if it goes up the next day. So, but I think at its high point, it was around $6 up from what I got it at. So I do, 1,000 shares. The math is pretty good,
Yeah, I bet.
But again, it's like, I don't know. Does that mean I get to make am I a shot caller now?
I was going to say, now you got to go in there and be like, hey, my 1,000 shares, this is what we're doing in my career, and we're booking this now. I mean, I'm an owner here.
I want this opponent. I want this date. No, I think I'm already enough of a pain in the ass in that arena. So, no, I just thought it was a cool opportunity, and I wanted to be involved. I like it. I think it's cool. If there was something that I was going to buy that was outside my portfolio of mutual funds that I have no idea what I have, I literally don't know a single name of a single stock that I own in my mutual fund stuff. This I thought was just a super cool opportunity, so scooped them up.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about being back March. How frustrating was that, I guess? This felt like a big moment to get back in there, put the past behind, get back, and then it's all kind of yanked from you. I mean, what was that experience like for you?
So wait, we're not going to talk about Kevin Lee?
I think we did it. We don't have to,
All right.
I don't think. We're
Awesome.
gone. We're
Cool.
past that.
Okay, yeah. So, obviously the last round of questions for my last fight was, the majority was about Kevin Lee. I kind of figured that coming in for this round of questions before this fight was going to be about what it was like getting my fight canceled the day of. Again, I know there's been other fights scrapped because of, COVID protocol. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't know if there's been a fight that was scrapped closer to fight time because of COVID protocol as was mine. Now, I want to preface what I'm going to say by starting with this. I understand the COVID protocol. I'm not complaining. I understand, in order for this thing to run smoothly and keep operating the way that it's operating, we have to follow certain rules. Someone on his side tested positive for COVID. It wasn't Riddell. It was someone on his team. And the fight got scrapped. It was really unfortunate timing. I had already made weight. I was getting up I was like 9 a.m. on Saturday. And again, I don't know exactly what time I would have fought, but I think we were probably within a 12-hour span of when I was going to fight, maybe 10 hours or so. And I got up, I was making, I have my morning routine, as does every fighter, and I was making my coffee with my protein in it, and I'm getting my supplements ready, and blah, 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 blah. And we were, within the hour, we're going to go over and do our morning, warm-up, shakeout, whatever you want to call it, right? And that's what we do on fight day. We have a little warm-up workout, just get the blood flow, get the food digesting, and et cetera. And my manager calls me, and I couldn't get to the phone in time, and I was like, yo, Carlos, my coach, I was like, hey, this isn't good. And he's like, well, what do you mean? And I said, my manager's calling me at 9 a.m. on the fight day. This has never happened before. This is definitely, watch, I'm guaranteeing you the fight's off for some issue. And I didn't know if it would be COVID or an injury or someone, whatever, right? And I called him back, and I literally looked over at Carlos and said, told you. I mean, it was just one of those things where you just knew, why would my manager be calling me at 9 a.m. on fight day?
So how tough is that for you, right? Because we always hear with fighters, all the hard work you put in, it's for that moment, right?
Sure.
To get in there and actually have the competition. When you don't get that payoff, I mean, how difficult is that for you, I guess, kind of like psychologically? Or
Yeah. It was such a weird, bag of emotions, man. It was I was just doing another interview where I was talking about this as well, and I said it was the first thing that happens is you think of course, right? Of course this is going to happen. Shocker, right? Me, of course. It's already been however many months or a year and some months since I've been able to do this. And then, of course, this is happening, right? That was my first kind of reaction. And then anger wasn't the right word. I wasn't my God, fuck, man, of course. I wasn't angry. I was extremely disappointed. obviously a ton of work. The fight had been pushed back several times already. I'd been in training camp for like a super long time, like a 12 or 13-week fight camp, because I got the news about the fight 2 weeks before Christmas, and then the fight was March 20th. So it's not like you're training expecting, I think the date originally was supposed to be February. So you start training right when you get that notice, 9 weeks out from the actual fight date. Then it gets pushed back February 13th, then March 6th, then March 20th. And listen, it is what it is. I'm not complaining about the fight getting pushed back. But there is a certain level of like, oh my God, dude, so much work and like disappointment. You feel like, man, we just spent a week in lockdown in a hotel in Vegas. I made weight the day before, and it's not like I'm cutting an extreme amount of weight. But making weight isn't fun. It's not something I would do unless I had a fight, And then the last emotion, and this one's going to sound weird, but there's definitely like a certain relief because there is anxiety and there is worry and there's nervousness that comes with getting ready for a fight. And the closer the fight gets, the more nervous you get, the more anxiety-ridden you get. Now, again, I think there's a healthy amount of that, and I think I manage it pretty well. But when that goes away in a split second, it's like instant, I don't know if relief is the right word, but that monkey's off your back. And then you feel a little bit of guilt for feeling that way. You're like, why am I feeling like relieved that I'm not fighting? And again, but then the next kind of like cog in that system would be, okay, so yeah, I am getting this kind of like monkey off my back, but I just lost the opportunity to feel the absolute high and the joy that comes with a possible win. So yes, I don't have to deal with this anxiety for the next 10 hours. I don't have to go out there and put my ass on the line walking into the cage, but I also don't have the opportunity to feel how tremendous it feels when you win. So that was kind of like the natural progression of things. But I never really got super angry about it because I understand,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't think I've ever heard that much detail into the emotions. That's awesome. Thanks for explaining it that way. So I think it's been 8 weeks since then. Was that the right play, the wrong? I mean, was it one of those situations where like, hey, I'd love to fight again right away, or hey, no, I need to decompress and recover a little bit?
Well, I think I mentioned to you guys last time I was going to take a week to go on vacation, like a week to 10 days, and I was going to go climb some mountains. I was going to go fish a little bit. I didn't get around to the fishing, but I spent a week in the mountains in upstate New York in the Adirondack High Peak region, and again, this is it's supposed to be like a vacation, and it turned into 70 miles of climbing mountains. So I came back more tired than I left. It was decompressing. I don't know if that would be the right word, but I came back more tired than when I left. Within a week, I think, or so, I found out that this was going to be a possibility. So I never really left fight camp. So there was no decompression. There was no easing back into training. We started sparring that week again. I had a week in the mountains, and then it was literally back to the exact same thing. So, I think I don't look at it as a curse. I look at it as a kind of like a blessing. I didn't have to get back in shape,
Nice.
Yeah.
I know that you don't like to spend a lot of time talking about opponents or anything, but when the matchup with Diego came, I mean, is there anything that appeals to you about him stylistically or as an opponent?
Yeah, I mean, he's ranked ahead of me. that was the requisite, So I like that. I understand everybody in the top 15 is going to be a threat. I understand that everyone in the top 15 is there because they're good. You don't get a ranking without beating someone good. He's beat good guys. He's fought good opponents. And I thought it was a great opportunity.
Yeah. I was going to ask him, it almost feels, last one was a big fight, but this feels like almost an even bigger fight. Does it feel that way to you?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are behind Riddell. I think a lot of people know him because he's at kickboxing, and he's a stand-up guy. He's, a glory guy, and I think a lot of people know him. But, this guy's ranked 12th in the UFC. Ferreira's ranked 12th,
Yeah.
Beat Pettis, he's good, and it's a great opportunity.
Nice. Last thing for me, obviously, we're hopefully everything plays out the way it's supposed to this week, but what is the plan moving forward now? We're back in there. We're done talking about Kevin Lee. Now it's just back on the track.
Are you sure?
I'm done with it.
Okay.
So what's the plan? Are we talking about, you're mentioning rankings and things like that. So is that the goal, is to start making your way up?
Well, yeah, at this point I'm 34 years old. I'm not saying that I'm ancient by any means. I still got a lot of hay in the barn, but I'm not getting younger. And I think if there's time to make a run at this thing, it's now. And yeah, I mean, I got the 12th ranked guy, and hopefully, things go well, and then I got ranked higher than that. That's hopefully is the plan. I got to get past this one first. Obviously, I got a job at hand, and I got to take care of that. But yeah, I can't imagine that if I beat Ferreira, that I would fight someone ranked lower than him, or outside of the rankings. So yeah, that's the plan.
Hey man, I was wondering, did you know the UFC were going to try and book you back right away, or was there a risk you could go off and get fat and just chill out and suddenly not be ready for a fight?
Well, I was under the impression from the way that my manager had worded it that we're going to get back in soon, stay ready. So regardless of that, I was going to climb mountains for a week. So, I went and did that, and I said I'll figure it out when I come back, and I was, MIA for a week in the mountains. I came back, and within a week, I kind of found out about this. So I think it was good timing. But yeah, the impression that I got is the UFC wanted to get me back in there ASAP.
I'm sure, I hate to put a negative thought in your brain, but it's already happened to you once. Do you have any sort of fear like, oh, please, let's just make sure this fight happens? Are you going to be on Friday pacing around just being like, please, please, please?
I mean, you kind of come in, and I knew this the last time. There are certain things that can happen. Mm-hmm. It happened once. The same amount of people are on the card, people coming from out of country, people coming from different states. Of course it could happen again. I'm praying that it doesn't, but it's out of my hands. I'm going to do exactly what I can do to be ready for Saturday. But, of course, there's obviously thoughts that pop into your mind that are like, dude, if this happens again, I'm just going to tell hey, sit me out until this COVID thing is over or something. But obviously that's a joke. But it's like, of course, there are thoughts that it could happen again.
Has the weight cuts in close proximity to each other been a problem for you, or have you been able to manage that pretty okay?
No, my weight's pretty good year round. Gets a little closer to the weight class when I'm in fight camp and approaching the fight. One thing I didn't do this fight camp, for those that know me pretty well, they know that I do a practice weight cut 2 weeks before the weigh-in. I did not do that this time. I figured it was close enough from the time I had made weight previously that I didn't need to do it again, and I didn't. And my weight's perfect right now, so.
Thanks, man.
Yep. Cool. Good? Cool.
Welcome back. Quick turnaround again for you. I know you're no stranger to doing that, but was it important to you to kind of keep the momentum going?
Definitely. I think this time last year I had like 5 fights already. No, but I definitely wanted to stay active. And this time I actually had some time. I think both of us had about 5 weeks to prepare for this. So I like that. That's right on the threshold of being a too long fight camp for me, where I get like just overly nervous and I've been thinking about one person for too long as opposed to just like training to get better. So so it was nice. I had just the amount of time to prepare for her specifically without like killing myself mentally.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you figured out kind of like what's ideal for you, because it feels like you've done like every circumstance possible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so is this kind of like the direction you'd like to go? It's like, hey, don't give me a fight 12 weeks out, but also don't give me it 3 days out either?
Yeah, like I always joke with my manager, like, just don't tell me I'm fighting. Like, book the fight. Like, I'll say yes, but just don't tell me until like 2 weeks before. But I think I like having a little bit of time to prepare, especially for someone as good as Ribas. But at the same time, when I have those really long fight camps, I just tend to stress out a little bit too much. I tend to focus too much on like 1 or 2 things as opposed to like rounding out my entire MMA game. So I think this is the best way, is just have like maybe a month or so to like really prepare for one person, but being active outside of that. Like, I'm one of those fighters who train 24/7, or not 24/7, but I train all year round. So I'm always trying to get better, always trying to work on the things that I kind of messed up with my previous fights, and yeah, it's been working out for me so far.
You talked about how good Amanda is. I mean, you saw what happened in her last fight. Obviously, she had a setback there. I mean, how do you look at her as an opponent? I mean, do you look at her as like a specialist, or did you learn anything from that last fight? Because it seems like a style that you could take advantage of as well.
For sure. I think her striking was a little overrated after the Mackenzie Dern fight. Like, she pretty much pieced her up like a boxing bag. So I think, if anything, Marina exposed that she isn't as good of a striker as she is a grappler, as she is as a judoka. And that's definitely the place where I win the fight, I feel like, is on the feet, keeping her rushing in for takedowns, avoiding the takedowns, or being able to get up as fast as possible and then keep it on the feet where she's going to be uncomfortable and where she might even start to get desperate. So yeah, it was a good game plan for Marina. She kind of put out the blueprint there, and I think anyone who knows how to strike everywhere, strike moving forward, backward, sideways, I think they're going to give Ribas a lot of trouble going forward.
I think that's great analysis, and it seems to make sense. I wonder, we hear a lot of fighters like, well, but I don't mind going to the ground with her. I'm just as good. I mean, do you think that's like just fighters talking or do you think they really believe that? Like, it would probably be in your best interest to stay on the feet, right?
We all have a lot of ego, you know. Like, I've been working a lot with Justin Flores, and he's like an amazing judo coach. And I'm like, you know, like, maybe I could take her down. He's like, no, this is the game. Calm down. You're not there yet. But I definitely, you know, when you have success in the gym, you feel like you can take on these people, even if they're specialists. That's why so many people go to the ground with Mackenzie Dern, even though she keeps subbing them, you know, like, so we all have egos, and I wouldn't be surprised if I did go for a takedown or try to grapple with her a little bit. But the smart game plan is to keep it on the feet and just piece her up and, you know, land more punches, try to stop her in that way.
Was there any talk behind the scenes of maybe turning this into 5 rounds and taking the main event? I mean, as that whole thing was playing out?
No, I didn't get any calls. They're like, not again. Nope. Yeah, so I think it's pretty obvious Micheal is the reason I got the main event last time. But it's all good. I think I like knowing exactly when I'm going to fight. I like that I'm still on the main for now. I'm still on the main card. So that's cool. And I feel like this if anything, gives me more of a reason to make a statement with this fight. Just knowing that someone who I went to a close decision with, someone who a lot of people said the fight could have gone either way, they're getting the main event and I'm not. So yeah, it's a bit of a reminder, like, hey, you got to put it all out there. You can't play it safe. You can't coast. You can't like avoid taking risks. You gotta, high risk equals high reward. So you have to be a little tenacious in there.
Nice. And last thing for me, I mean, you talked about you go out there and make a statement. We talked about how when you had your losses, it still felt like your profile elevated during that time. But here, a couple big wins in a row would be big. So what's the plan for you? I mean, do you have a path carved out as far as like people you want to face, how making your way up rankings? What's the plan after this?
Yeah, man. I mean, I got my list of rematches. If anything, having a bunch of losses on your record makes you want to fight them again, especially when you feel like you've improved so much. A lot of those girls are in the top 5, so I'd love to fight them. I'd love to, just get on the way to a title fight. And I feel like if those last 2 losses had gone my way, I'd definitely be somebody that they're talking about. Like same with Zhao Nanyan. Like she doesn't look extremely impressive in her wins, but she's on a huge win streak, so you can't deny her. So I feel like a couple good wins. I felt like the Yoder win was good, even though I messed up. I didn't get the finish. I could have in that fight, but a few more adjustments I have to make. And with a big win over Ribas, it'll definitely give me the options of fighting higher ranked girls. And yeah, I'm excited about that.
You mentioned ego a while ago. There was a video that came out of an experience you enjoyed in Abu Dhabi with Joshua Fabio.
Oh, no. So you keep getting me in trouble, man. You need to stop asking those heated questions.
But they're the best ones.
I love Monster. Please don't misinterpret my last interview.
I didn't mean to get you in trouble. I apologize.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was that experience like, if you can even remember it, just having a guy kind of berate you guys?
Well, it was my first time sitting in on fighter meetings, so I really didn't feel like I should say anything. But at that point, I think I had heard Fabio talk about himself so much and the criticism that he was getting that I had to say something. And, it's like I watched Diego's long interview with Anthony, and like he makes a lot of points that like I think a lot of fighters agree with, but then he goes on his tangents, his like conspiracy theory tangents as well. So it's kind of hard to not feel for Diego and not understand his point of view. Everyone's point of view comes from whatever circumstances and experiences they have, and to have your gym feel like your gym isn't backing you compared to your other teammates, to feel like the UFC isn't backing you compared to other people. I feel for him. I think it was good that he did that interview because it gives more perspective, and as opposed to just saying, oh, he's getting taken advantage of. But like this Fabio guy is the only one in his corner, so of course he's gonna defend him. So I understand. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like I think the way he just said, let's stop the shit talk, like immediately put everyone on guard. And I just wish he talked more about Diego feeling upset about the whole the commentary thing and everything. I wish he talked more about that than the shit talk that his school was getting online.
Do you think, I think Anthony said this in that interview, which if anyone's listening, I would say go watch it.
Yeah.
Joshua might have had a point in there, but his delivery of that point just means he's ruining his own stance, right? By delivering it to you guys in the way he did, he's just basically saying nothing at that point because his energy is overwhelming the message.
Yeah, and maybe that's the type of person who will confront people about something when Diego is too, reserved to say it. But I thought it was interesting that Diego didn't sound like it was like the most lucid interview like he's had in years. Like he sounds like he has all his shit together, and then every now and then he'll just be like, "Oh, Instagram," and you're like, "What?" But it was a good interview, and I think he made a lot of valid points that maybe that that video of the backstage, like commentary berating. Like, he made points that video didn't really make, but maybe those were the steps that he needed to get his view out there. Like, he needed people to talk so much shit that he finally like came out and expressed himself. But yeah, it's a weird one. Like, it's really weird.
Sorry for getting you in trouble.
Never answering questions again. Cool.
Alex, I know you're a guy that likes to fight legends, right? So, I mean, this opportunity, I got to imagine this is an exciting one for you.
Yeah, so they announced the fight around 3 months ago, if I'm not mistaken. And as soon as I saw it matched up, I actually called my coach and told him that if either guy pulls off, I'd be willing to take the fight. Granted, I didn't expect it to be on like less than a week's notice. But yeah, I've been in shape. I have a lot of my guys fighting soon, and a lot of guys in Fortis are always fighting. So I've been just like training to help my training partners. At my gym, we had a local grappling tournament last Saturday, and we had 80 competitors, 80 out of my own gym. 50 of them were kids, but still a lot of adults. So we've been training our butts off, and my weight's been low, and conditioning's been super good. So it was an easy fight to take.
That's awesome. How did it all come together? I mean, did the fact that you had volunteered for it 3 months out assist in getting it done?
Not really. So it's funny, when I fought Pettis, that was another short notice one, but that week, the Saturday that I was fighting him, was our move out date. I had started training at a gym, Gracie Bartha Woodlands, when I was like 16 or 17 years old, and started there as a white belt and just like stayed the course and became like a black belt, became an instructor, then became the owner. And we had finally outgrown that location. It had been flooded twice. Like, we were ready to get out of there. So my awesome genius mogul brother, who has been doing very well for himself, started to make some money with his internet and tech work, started buying a lot of land, and he built a big building. So we had moved our gym to a much bigger super facility that is already too filled up. But so I was facilitating the move, and that's like, and in 2020, banking on like UFC fights and gym profits, we were going to fund the build out. That didn't happen. COVID killed that and made no money at the gym. So we had to figure out our funds, but the move was all going very according to plan. And then the Pettis fight moved that 1 week back. So right after that fight, we had moved our entire gym from one spot to another. And I asked for 3 months to make sure the business side of the gym was going smooth. January was great. February was a banger. And then every month, it's just getting busier and busier. So I knew in quarter 1 I wouldn't be fighting. But with teaching and training, I was in good shape, and I was like hoping to fight in quarter 2. So like May, June, July, I wanted to be in shape going into fight camp, and that worked out so well. And just the timing was really good. We've achieved so much this year already from like a business side. And then thankfully after February, once everything was going smooth, I started like really cross-training a lot and making my trips back up to Fortis, especially with Geoff Neal and Carlos Diego Ferreira being on the card. I started to make the trip up to Dallas just to train with the boys. We have one of our guys, another one of Coach Safe's students, not in the UFC yet, Cameron Graves. He's fighting on that Fury show the day after the UFC Houston card, and Dana White's going to be there, and it's a title fight. So we've been getting him ready for 5-5s. So I've been doing 5-5s with him for weeks now, and conditioning was good, weight was low, and the opportunity really presented itself.
That's awesome. With that said, I mean, let's say this was like, hey, Alex, we want you to fight this newcomer that's coming in. He's making his debut, but we got to fight for you. I mean, would you still fight? I mean, because you want to fight, or is it the opportunity to face Cowboy?
Yeah, that's very situationally based. It really depends on who, just making sure the risk is worth the reward. And in this case, like, the risk is certainly worth the reward. But, Cerrone's, maybe other than Conor McGregor, the most well-known fighter on planet Earth. He's fought the best. He's beat him. He's lost to him. He's always a guy I always enjoyed watching. And it's just cool. This is such an opportunity, like, for my career, for where I'm at now. Fighting these vets is awesome, especially while they're still in the mix. And now, as a UFC fan, I thought his fight against Sanchez was the perfect going-out fight for both of them. I was kind of, it's kind of sad to see that drop off, especially with what happened with Diego. Like, I've always liked Diego a lot, and as long as martial arts has been around, there have been, like, seedy coaches who kind of fake their way into spots, and I always built up such a resume for myself so my students know that everything I teach them is legitimate. Like, I've been through the fire, I've competed at every level in pretty much every martial arts aspect. I've had pro boxing matches, pro kickboxing matches, submission-only black belt matches, and a bunch of MMA fights. And I just want, like, my students and the fans to know that I've been there. I know what I'm talking about. And if there's anything I can talk about, it's MMA. And anytime I see, like, especially locally, there's a lot of gyms in the area, I'll, like, really question the coaches and kind of put some pressure on them to see how legitimate they are. And I know that a lot of guys around town don't like that, but I mean, that's tough. You're only as good as your resume states. So yeah, this was a cool fight, and I don't think it's ideal for Cerrone, but whatever. I know he's game, and I know he was motivated. Like, one thing when I was talking to Coach Safe about this fight, he was like, Cerrone knew he could beat Sanchez. Going into this fight camp, he was pumped. I watched some of the training videos of his, and I know he's going to be coming in good shape. And I expect this fight to be a bit of a dog fight. It's going to be a fun one.
I was going to ask you because, I mean, I know what a fan you are of the sport and how much you follow it. I mean, Cowboy has had the losses, right? But it also feels like he's in one of those back against the wall kind of situations right now, right? Where he wants to prove the world. So what kind of a Cowboy are you expecting to come in there?
Every time I fight, when I was a regional pro, I would get these matchups, and I would always envision my opponents to be, like, way bigger and stronger and better than they were. So I got my coach behind me, or in front of me here. One time we fought a guy named Everett. He was really tall and really big for welterweight. He actually ended up, did he bust weight, Coach? He took some time. We all had to wait like an extra hour at weigh-ins because he was cutting weight. And I remember I did the face-off, and I was like, Coach, he's smaller than I thought. And Matt was like, dude, he's pretty big. I was like, yeah, but he's smaller than I thought he'd be. And I always envision these guys to be like the best possible versions and the toughest. And Cowboy, one of the best strikers in the UFC, an arguable better ground game than stand-up game. This is going to be a fun fight, a real test. I always hope we stand and kickbox for 15 minutes. That's what I always hope. But I always plan on guys trying to wrestle. And I know he was training for Diego, who's a southpaw wrestler. And anytime I would fight a wrestler, there's a lot of anti-wrestling, so a lot of wrestling naturally. And then he had asked to fight Emil Meek, if I'm not mistaken. I saw a text that I don't know how legitimate it was on Reddit. But if you're asking to fight Emil Meek, that's a guy who's been held down before too. So I think Cerrone may try to wrestle a bunch, but again, prepping for this tournament and just doing the 3 months of, like, jiu-jitsu, gym business, I've been grappling so much, and thankfully been really sharp in my striking doing all the MMA work. So I'm ready to grapple hard, to fight hard. I mean, like any fight, I expect this to go everywhere.
Yeah. Last thing for me, I want to ask kind of, this would be a huge win for you, right? I mean, a big moment in your career, a big name, but you're one of the most realistic guys I've ever heard. Said, I don't know if I'm going to be champ or anything, but I'm going to go out there, we're going to have fun. So what would you do after this? Would you, go back into the school and wait for another legend to come around, or do you start calling out names? What's the plan after a win like this?
You know what? I'm not too sure. I also stopped, like, when I had the Pettis fight, I was like, what am I going to fight next? I just stopped with that now. I don't know. It was funny, after February, after March, I was checking my email 3-4 times a day, waiting for Sean Shelby to have a name and a date. And I just never would have predicted this on, 5 days' notice. That was cool. But I don't know. I'll fight the newcomers. I know there was a lot of COVID signees, and if UFC wants to hike some of those guys out, I'll certainly beat them up. The vets are fun to fight. Like those mid-level guys, they'll be in the UFC for a long time, like myself. I can fight them later, So while the vets are in, I enjoy fighting the vets. Just as a fight fan and just as a martial artist, I think it's a cool test, and this is a fun one.
Just going off. Go on after you.
Thanks. In a previous interview, you mentioned that a win over Cowboy would be bittersweet. I was wondering if you could elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, being just a fan of the UFC, guys like Robbie, like Diego Sanchez, retire, don't enjoy training in the fight camps. I'm going to stop. And that's one thing. Every fight camp, and I've had 40 of them, I've enjoyed more than the next, so that's not slowing down. But, you want to see a guy like Cerrone go out on a high note. There's only one exception to that, and that's if he fights a teammate or myself. And I'm not trying to kill him on Saturday. He can have a retirement fight after that if he wants, but that's the bittersweet kind of aspect to it. Like, you got to pay respects to these guys, but not if you're fighting. Like, there's just no chance. If I let my guard down for a second or give him too much credit, then that's a failure in like my armor. So I'm going in there for the kill.
I was just curious, going off you saying it's fun to fight the vets as a fan of the sport itself. What would it mean to have a name like Donald Cerrone on your resume? When it's all said and done, you're looking back to look down the list of people you fought and having like him. He's a legend in this sport. To have him on your resume, what would that feel like?
Yeah, I mean, better than pretty much any win, against someone who like wasn't a champion. I was saying he's probably the most decorated fighter in the UFC who's not a champ in terms of what he's accomplished, and especially as a striker. In MMA, a lot of guys like to just like run and grab and hug. And I always, I'll be nice, but I never liked that style very much. And he's a good striker, a very good kickboxer. I fancy myself a kickboxer with a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So as a martial artist, it's more meaningful to me just as a person than really anything else. Plus, the resume is good. And, my students at home, probably the second biggest reason I do this stuff, fight in the UFC and take these challenges, is to just let my students, let my family, my friends all at home who I lead know that I've been in the trenches, I've been through the fire, and I've made it out on the other side.
And a fun bit of irony that you're taking a short notice fight against the guy who always takes short notice fights.
Yeah, this is the shortest notice of fights I've ever taken. I took one on a week's notice, and it was the first time Dana White did looking for a fight. And I took the fight there, and it was funny, on that fight card, I actually had the most experience. And on that fight card, it was crazy because Matt Schnell fought on that card, Ryan Spann fought on that card, Roberto Sanchez, Sage Northcutt, a lot of the guys who fought on the main card, we all got finishes and like quick, and a lot of us got signed. That was a cool one. And I was the only guy whose like name wasn't on Dana White's list because I took it so short notice. Excuse me. And after the fight, I was like, Dana, I'm the most experienced guys here. I took his fight short notice. I got the finish because he actually showed up after my fight. And he was like flipping through his papers. He's like, I don't see you. And I was like, yeah, I took it late. And I gave him my information. And I was like, if not today, I'm confident I'll fight for you in the future. And then after that fight, I had a main event in Legacy against Baby Monster and knocked him out real bad. And then I fought for the belt and won. And then my UFC debut was a really short notice fight against a super veteran in Kyle Noak, one of Cowboy's teammates at the time. And even after I won that fight, I went to the back all tired and excited, and Cowboy actually complimented my footwork, which was cool. And like just as a UFC rookie coming off a short notice debut win, I liked that compliment. Luke Rockhold gave me a really backhanded compliment too, because I was swinging real wild in that fight. He was like, "You just fought, you're the guy who threw those crazy overhands," and I was like, "Thanks, champ." He was a champ at the time. It was really cool. That was a fun experience. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Nossa, contou.
Well, Amanda, not familiar with losing fights. You had been on quite the run, so I guess having a setback last time out. How difficult was that for you?
Like when I lost in Abu Dhabi, I was like, oh, I'm here in Abu Dhabi, so let's enjoy the hotel and everything. But when I come home, I saw my mom, I start to cry. I cry a lot. And she said to me, my mom is not a fighter, but was the best word that I can listen. She'd give to me. She said, Amanda, hey girl, heads up, you win and you lost in all your life since you were a baby, because you compete since you were a baby. And I was like, And after that, and me, okay, let's go. Let's learn about this, because I was winning the fight, and for some stupid mistake, I stopped it, and I think not just a fighter, I think nobody can stop in their life. So I stopped, and she threw the perfect punch. So I learned this, and now I am more active, with more energy, because I want this fight.
Very
I
nice.
want.
And a pretty quick turnaround, about 3.5 months or so. Was that important to you to get back in there, I guess, and maybe kind of put that last one behind you?
Yes, for sure, because I was looking. Everybody in my weight division has a fight. And I was looking at me, oh my goodness, I need to fight, because everybody's fighting and get better in the ranking. I need to fight. And UFC gave to me this opportunity in 1 month. And yes, let's go. I will make the weight. I will do my best to do the best fight ever, because I will say again, but I want this fight.
I was curious with the matchup, because I think Angela is capable of doing a lot of the same things that Marina is capable of, right? I mean, they're not the same fighter, but they do have some of those skill sets. So was that kind of a little scary to think she could do the same thing, or was it more like, no, I want to face somebody like that so that I can show that I'm capable of fighting that type of opponent?
Yes, for sure, I'm capable, because I already see this before. But I think Angela is really active inside the cage, because she doesn't stop, and outside the cage too. If UFC needs somebody, they call Angela. She is all the time fighting. I think she doesn't care about the weight, because she can fight in the strap weight, because she wants to fight too. So I am prepared for that.
Nice. I think it's your first fight in Vegas. I know it's not normal, right? The times it's a little different, but I mean, is it exciting to be here in Vegas? I know you did great things on Fight Island.
Yes, for sure. This time I am in the hotel, and UFC give us the room with kitchen, with great food, healthy food, and my room training. So this week I'm just focused on that, and I really like it. But next week I will be here. I will be just enjoying the next week. I'm looking for a restaurant. I'm asking to everybody, if you have some that you like, please tell me, because I want to go.
We can help you out there. So does this feel like a big opportunity? I mean, I think about how much your popularity grew in the last year, but now here being in Vegas, being in front of the U.S. audience, I mean, does this feel like a big opportunity?
Yes, for sure, because I fought here one time, but I was MMA amateur, was amazing. And now I'm here like a professional in a UFC, and the people here breathe UFC. So I hope the next time has fans inside, but I know is everybody watching, and this is really important to me.
Nice. And last thing for me, I mean, obviously the goal is to win, but do you feel like you need to kind of like recapture some of that momentum you had? Like I said, it felt like your star was rising so fast. And then the setback, do you feel like you need to kind of grab hold of that again, or does any of that matter?
I don't think about that. I think I need to do my job, and the consequences come. So I need to do my job. I need to fight really well. I need to get better in my English. I need to get better in my food or in my training, and the results will tell to me.
Amanda, fighters often say that when they lose a fight, they learn something. Did you learn something from your defeat?
Yes, for sure. I learned it. I can't stop. If you stop in your life, the life throw you a punch and you get knocked out. And I think it did this to me. I learned this. We can't stop all the time.
When you say you can't stop, do you think you mean maybe you were just enjoying yourself outside of fighting, you weren't training as hard, or what do you mean by not stopping?
Not stop the thinking in fight, thinking the strategy, thinking. And it's all the time you need to be active, because if you stop, the girl will be more prepared than you. She will be active, so she will take your opportunity. So I need to be prepared for the opportunity.
Are you excited to take that lesson into your next fight?
For sure. I think now my eyes is not just smile eyes. Now my eyes want this fight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cowboy, I guess a short notice fight is a short notice fight, but is this one of the kind of most bizarre situations leading into a fight that you've seen in your career?
Yeah, I've never seen someone get thrown off because they're crazy. So that it's a first for me. But yeah, short notice has made a career out of. Usually I'm the guy filling in, not the other way around. So pretty cool. Alex threw his hat in and they picked him, so it's cool.
Yeah. You touched on. You're kind of associated with this whole storyline now. Do you have thoughts? It was so cool to see two fellow veterans, facing off, and now he's just unceremoniously out of the organization. Do you have any thoughts on the whole situation?
You've seen people get chopped, so apparently he pissed the wrong people off, and it just so happened right before the fight. But I don't really have anything to say. I was looking forward to fighting. I'm going back to 55, so that's kind of the, taking this fight. I was like, man, now I'm going to take a short notice fight against a 70-pounder. I was only doing it for the UFC. They asked me if I wanted to, Diego Beg for the fight, wanted it. So I was like, cool, I want to go to 55. But so here we are back at 70 again. And as soon as this fight's over, I'll be hollering for 55. So, but just excited to go get paid on Saturday.
Yeah. Was there any part of you when this thing happened, like you said, you jumped in on short notice and that stuff, but you're going from fighting the fellow legend on his way out to now short notice against a guy that doesn't have a reputation, younger guy. You know what I mean? Was there any part of you that's like, maybe this isn't the right situation for me?
Situation-wise, like I said, I can't be the guy that said I'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, and then except for this time. But no, as a team, we were like, man, this doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything versus 70. Damn sure doesn't do anything for 55, so it was kind of a weird, should we just pull back and wait a little while? And then we were like, nah. So we're good.
Do you ever think, did anybody say, well, maybe it would be, maybe now we finally got to have a little strategy with our career and how we manage it?
When I saw Dana, we talked about it, and he was like, hey, man, you do whatever I'm not going to, Cal, you're the guy that I've never had an issue with, so I'm not telling you fight. I don't need you. If you want to wait, go to 50, it's on you. You do whatever you want to do. So I waited a couple of days, and then I said, we're in.
Nice. It's kind of interesting, right? Because Dana had some other words back in September where he said he thought he might have to talk to you and have that one. And so, did those words get back to him? I'm sure they did. And I don't know, did it hurt at all to hear that being said?
Hell yeah, it hurts. What do you mean? Of course. But we took a little slower approach this year, and I don't know. I am getting old, I am. And I need to slow my fighting down a little bit, for sure. Let my head heal. And, but shit, we're ready. I'm doing that grappling tournament with RDA was the best thing I ever did. It really got me excited into jiu-jitsu again. It really got me excited into training and fired up. I shouldn't say fired up. It's not like the fire ever left. I hate that term. I had to really ignite the fire, but in a way, I got excited about it again. Fell back in love with jiu-jitsu. And, God, I'm excited to go out there and participate. I keep trying to find the void of the thing that makes me do this racing. It's the same thing all day long. I love it. I get so excited and nervous. Saturday, I get to do the most exciting and nervous thing I've ever done. And it's every time. I love it. So, I feel good. Team's good. Body's good. And can't wait.
You mentioned the jiu-jitsu tournament. I don't know how many people followed it, or the match, I should say. Pretty cool to come back out there and run it back with them. What was that about for you to say, yeah, let's go run it back?
Oh, I didn't want anyone to ever say anything. So I was, he said he didn't tap, and I said, hey man, if you didn't tap, then we'll just do it again. I want there to be a question about it. So, I wasn't arrogant, I was like, yeah, let's do it again. Let's make it for sure, right? And so we ran it right back.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. You mentioned the conversation with Dane. In approaching your career, did you guys ever have to get together and have a conversation about your career?
No. Never have. Just he says no sometimes, and I want to go, and he just says no, wait a little bit. But we've never had to sit down and try and figure out a way to go. No, not yet. God, hopefully not ever.
It seemed like you did a lot of training out here in Vegas during these 6 months. Was that by design, or were you out here for other things? I never know where you might be. So, Are you
Both.
kind of with a new team, so to speak, or a new approach or anything?
No. Just I had to be out here, so then we make it into another thing, the whole journey, right? Come out here, we'll train, we'll use the PI, we'll get everything done. So another team, no. Big Wood and Syndicate, we've always been, I guess, our team too, you know, so I wouldn't ever say changing that. But it's good to step out and go there and spar and get with new guys that I don't train with at the ranch all the time. So we got into sparring again a lot this camp, trying to get my head movement down, so we'll see if it works.
Was that something you hadn't been doing a lot of sparring?
Oh, you've seen my fights. I don't move my head fucking ever, so.
That's what makes them fun, right? What, as far as Alex goes, you know, him stepping on short notice, did you know anything about his, I know you don't watch fights, so did you know anything about him at all?
Not really, man. Unfortunately, I didn't know. It was just one of the names that came a lot. They throw a lot of names at you, and we were like, yes, you know. So, and then the guys that said yes, they couldn't do it. It's weird how it works. Like, people are always like, why didn't you take this fight? The fight that I really wanted to do was with Emil Meek. He's been here. He's looking for a short round fight. He's my buddy. And I was like, man, if there's anybody, throw this guy's hat, you know. But it didn't work out. I don't know the inner workings of the top UFC. I just know they give you names. You say yes, no, and they're like, well, that one didn't work. Here's another name. And his name was one that they're like, he said yes, and I was like, well, let's go. Yeah. I know he fought Pettis. You know, the kid's coming. He's hungry, you know, and that's what makes this dangerous, because he's not a old veteran like I am. Maybe he's like a new up-and-coming hungry kid, and I'm sure his team are like, you know what, go in there and swarm this motherfucker right away in the beginning. If you're going to get Cowboy, you're going to. So I brought Chalito with me. We're going to be getting rounds 1 and 2 out of the way in the back. So I'm going to come out there fucking ready to go. I wanted main event. I would have loved 5 rounds. I don't know if that kid can go 5. I still have the malicious intent on hurting a motherfucker. So I got the Diego fire still. So I plan every punch and every kick to be lethal. And I don't want this kid to make it out of the first round. So when he watches this, know I'm coming, motherfucker. So when you come hard and you come fast in the beginning, I'll be ready.
That's a solid quote there. I guess last thing for me, though, Cowboy, I mean, one of the most beloved figures in company history, but do you feel like this is a situation where your back's against the wall, like you got to prove
When you put it like that, yeah. Fuck yeah. Of course. Absolutely. It's the same conversation I had with Sean and Danny, like, hey, man, Diego fights out. You want me to take a short notice fight? I'm not on a 4-fight winning streak. It's actually the opposite. Like, I don't want to be in here fighting for my job. I don't want to be coming to you like, man, I shouldn't have done that, you know. So, yeah, but all that aside, that's not even in my thought. I'm not like, oh, I have to win. This isn't a must win. This is, I get to go win. I get to go fight. I get to go do what I love. So I feel great. The age has no factor on me right now. I'm not beat up or sore, but there's a lot of things we got to work on this camp. It was such a long camp since the RDA thing, you know. So I got to improve in a lot of areas, and I get to mostly my mental side, and that's what I think I get to explore the most. Like when I said, you come out first and ready to go, I'm going to be standing there fucking ready to rock. So I know I say that now on Wednesday, Saturday, fuck, I hope it's true, man. I hope I'm fucking gritting my teeth like, let's go, bitch. So back against the wall at the end of the day, sure. Do I feel like it? It's just another fight, man. Another win, another fucking bonus, another legendary stat I get to put on the fucking end of the day record. So that's what I'm looking to do. Go set records, set all kinds of new things. So these young kids coming up are like, man, I one day want to be him. But I'm still here, motherfucker, so get in line.
Cowboy, you mentioned that you had that fire to fight Diego, and you put a video out saying you wanted to hurt him. You had that malicious intent to get him. So when that fight got cancelled, how disappointing was that you didn't get to follow through with it?
Of course, you know. Diego's hard. It's hard to be mad at him now because I don't know if it's him guiding the horse. I think he's just running blind, and this other Jamoke, his new lover's like showing him down the path. So I don't know. I can't really be mad at the kid, you know, or the old man, I should say. But really, it's his cult leader and lover that took over his life, and I feel bad for you, Diego.
Did you ever have, I don't know the timelines, did you ever cross paths with that guy?
Never have. I never, ever have. I do know the guy that whipped his ass at the bar. I used to train with the guy, and that kid was talking about his death punch and how he was going to kill the dude, and my buddy dog walked his motherfucking ass all over the bar. So the death punch did not work. It was unsuccessful. So, and this guy no longer fights, no longer trains, and just said, man, I'll beat your ass, and he did. So it was quite, the MMA community in New Mexico had a chuckle over it.
Diego did an interview yesterday where he said that the first time he ever rolled with this guy, he got tapped in 40 seconds. So when you hear something like that, how does that even happen? Because Diego.
Yeah, I think your idea of tapped and my idea of tapped are different. I think Diego got tapped in 40 seconds for sure. Different kind of stroke for different kind of folks, buddy.
Moreno's out here, was paying you a lot of compliments, and he was saying that you actually paid him a compliment after his USA debut. You said you went up to him in the back and said you have great footwork. I was wondering if you remember doing that.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. I know the kid. You know, I don't watch all the fights, but yeah, of course, yeah, he does. He's a shuffler for sure.
Cool, thank you.
Oh, we out on that? Good. Appreciate it.
How's it going?
So 1 week, 5 rounds. I mean, are you like out here just trying to prove a point to people or make a statement?
I think as my career, I've been fighting for close to 15 years now, and I know that I only got, a couple good years left in me, and the more that I realize that, the more that I want to take advantage of every opportunity when it presents itself, the more that it's kind of like you don't realize what you have until it's gone. I think COVID showed all of us a lot of that. I love this. I love to fight. I love to go out there. I love to perform. I love the fans. I love the media. And sometimes you can just become so tangled up in all the monotony of fighting, of the training and the pressure, and the negativity of the outside noise, and you forget about all the things that made you fall in love with it to begin with. And so when this opportunity presented itself, I was telling my husband, like, stop playing with my emotions. I guess this whole year has kind of been a series of up and downs for me, and just falling back in love with performing, with fighting. And so I told my husband, yeah, let's do it.
How did the opportunity come about? Because we knew we were in need of a main event, right?
Yeah.
And it seemed like you were like, I'm in, but the UFC wasn't really announcing anything. So I guess first, did you put your hand in the air? Did they come to you? And then what happened while we were all trying to figure out if this was going to happen or not?
We were kind of fishing for a fight in May, but it didn't look like it was going to happen. So I was bummed, honestly. I was really bummed. I remember visiting family in El Paso and watching the fight with Rose and Wei Li, and just having this kind of like pit in my stomach, like, I want to get in there, especially with the fans. And just, hoping and praying and wishing for it. And, it's my wishes came true. I got a call on Monday, and I honestly thought Josh was messing with me. And I sat down and I thought about it, and I was, I know I'm ready. And so I said, let's do it.
Was there any part of you that said, let's do it for 3 rounds? Like, can we see if maybe they want us to do 5 rounds?
I think that's a responsibility of a headliner, is to close the show, is to bring it home. And, if they're going to have faith in me to close the show, I want to be able to provide that for them. Plus, I think that 5-round plays into my favor. This will be my 4th UFC main event. I've also done main events for Invicta. And so it's not anything I'm not used to. I think that I gain steam as the fight goes on. I can push the pace. I train at high elevation. So this is nothing new to me, and honestly, it plays in my favor.
Nice. Stylistically, what do you think about the matchup? I got to think that it seems like an opponent that would be kind of fun in the way your styles match up.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a stand-up banger in Muay Thai. She likes heavy right hand, good clinch. And I really like this fight stylistically. Like I said, I have been in there with the best of the best strikers, with Joanna and Rose. I know where I stand in the division, so I think this is a great matchup for me to show the world that I belong at the top.
Nice. I guess we'll know on Saturday, but do you feel like there's any advantages to this type of setup? I think about all the anxiety and all the monotony and stuff that you talked about that goes into like fight prep, right? You don't have to live any of that, right? It's just like, let's just go and get this done. Is there any good in that?
I think it depends on the fighter, and it depends on where you are mentally. Everybody, breaks down their fights differently. Everybody prepares for their fights differently. But I'm at a stage at my career and in my life where I'm just confident with who I am. I'm confident with what I've become as a martial artist. And I was talking to my husband. This year, I made it a point to challenge myself to do something that was outside of my comfort zone, as often as I could. And before we even were looking for fights, I did this David Goggins 4x4x48, not training. I'm not a runner. And it was 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. And I did it. And when I did it, it's horrible. It was horrible, but once I decided that I was going to do it and that I was going to finish it, then nothing else mattered. And that's kind of how I'm approaching this.
Nice. Did he do it with you?
Yes.
Oh, good support.
Yeah, we kicked butt. We had to warn our little one that we were going to be a little cranky for the next 2 days, and she was. I mean, she's a trooper. She's our biggest support. So it was great.
That's awesome. Well, this will certainly be a big win. Like I said, stepping in short notice, main event, good opponent. So what is the plan? It sounds like you're kind of looking at your career a little bit different. What do you see as your path for this year after a big win here?
I just want to seize every moment that I can wisely. I think that your fight career, especially with the UFC, is all about timing. And I saw this opportunity as that piece of sushi that I wanted to get on the sushi train, and if I didn't snatch it up, somebody else was going to. So, I was hungry and I got to eat.
So I'm wondering if you could talk to you saying that you felt revitalized because of the last year and stuff. How has that shown itself in your training? The fact that you want to do this, the fact that you're not considering it the grind anymore. Now that you're really savoring every moment.
Well, it is still a grind, but I've learned how to embrace the grind, how to enjoy the grind, how to live in the fire, how to become the fire, and I really like that aspect. I like the idea that life is hard, that there are circumstances in life that you can't control, and you decide to thrive anyways. And so that's kind of the approach that I've been taking with my life and with my fighting career.
And we're not trying to say that you're walking away anytime soon, but you said to yourself that maybe a couple more years left. When you have a little clock in your head, knowing that, okay, a couple more years, does that give you more of a fire to be like, I need to achieve things because I have a shorter window now, and is that really propelling you?
I wouldn't say it's a need, but more so a want. A want to showcase what skills and abilities I have. I mean, there's so many cool things that I do at the gym that I'm like, holy moly, I just did that. But, when the lights are on and everybody's watching, that's when it counts. And I want to be able to perform the way I do in the gym under the lights. And so that's a motivation for me that to leave my stamp and to be the best version of myself I can be. Thanks, guys.
back. Again. We talk about, October. Things didn't go your way, of course. Didn't get the result you wanted. But I just wonder, we know the sacrifices you made, the changes you made, and everything that you invested, and then it doesn't go your way. Like, is it extra disappointing, I guess, or extra hurtful?
No, you got to understand, I went to Jackson Wink in June because my last camp where I was kind of told me I wasn't welcome back, for lack of better words. And I needed to do something before I fought Volante. And we went to Jackson Wink on a whim, stayed there 3 weeks, came in, got a W. Okay, we got a W, a tough W. And then I rushed it. Instead of moving to Jackson Wink, moving to Albuquerque, learning the technique, really like diving into getting comfortable with it. I thought I was comfortable, and I took the fight. And part of the way through my training camp, I had some nerve issues, and in the first round, my right arm went numb, and it spooked me. I was sitting on the stool, my right arm was numb. It spooked me. I got it back, and when Greg hit me, all 4 of my limbs went numb. That last ending sequence, all 4 of my limbs went numb, and I was getting it back. So I was a little scared of what, these are your nerves, It's nothing to play with. Sometimes they don't come back, sometimes they will. So I told myself after this fight I was going to do a couple things. I was going to get my ass in the gym, and I was going to lift weights because I needed that. I think that's the biggest catalyst in my career that's kind of holding me back, as some of these guys just hit harder and they're bigger than me, So I spent, since January, I've been in the gym and changed my body composition. I spent 6.5 months just really getting in there with my coaches and my teams and my teammates, and with Greg and Mike. And man, I just mentally, physically, spiritually, I'm better than ever, man. Without saying too much, you guys are going to see the improvement Saturday. That's all I got to say about that.
So I was going to ask you, 6 months in between, was that by design? Did you, and it sounds like it was, that you kind of wanted some time away to not be competing and just be, like I said, reinventing yourself and reinvesting?
Well, when you fight so often, so if you look at my career here in the UFC, like I just never wanted to sit and like just take my time. Like, I'll fight once, twice a year, and I'll just say I'm in the UFC. No, it's either you're meant to be here or you're not, right? So when opportunities come, you don't say no, you say yes. Why not? So I fought as often as possible, right? But when you're fighting every 3-4 months, 2-3 months, you're not learning anything. You're staying sharp, right? Now, when you got holes in your game, it's hard to stay sharp when you got holes. You got to go fix those holes. And when I moved to Albuquerque, I just realized that. And, my family dynamic's a lot better, which allows me to train as much as I do. I'm wake up at 3:30, 4 o'clock every morning to start my day. I'm at the gym by 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 hours. And I've been doing it since January. And eating right, and there's been a lot of changes in in this transition to Albuquerque, and a lot of it's for the good. And like I said, you guys will be able to witness it Saturday night.
That's awesome, man. The nerve issue, did you have to get that looked at? Is everything okay medically?
Yeah, I got cleared. It's one of those things where you just got to wait. You got to take time. And sometimes it's hard. I lost 100 pounds working out. For me, when I get like frustrated, I go running, right? So I had to just sit my ass down for a little bit and stop and figure out the right way to train and let it heal and not go so hard. But we're 100%. I'll put it this way. It's the best I've ever felt coming into a fight injury-free. Usually I'm dealing with some sort of injury. We all are. I'm pretty injury-free right now.
That's awesome. Talk about the matchup itself. It's funny because you talk about guys in the heavyweight division that are bigger than you, that hit harder. This is one of those guys, right? He's a big guy that hits hard. What did you think about the matchup when they gave it to you?
Just like I think about any other matchup, I honestly feel in my heart of hearts I'm better than all of these guys. There'll be a lot of people that'll say, no, he's not, he's this. Yeah, I have a lot of potential, right? It's time to live up to that potential.
Nice. Last thing for me, kind of obviously the goal here is to pick up a victory, but I wonder, is it about proving something to the world or just proving something to yourself and showing, that all this investment has paid off?
I don't got shit to prove to nobody. So no, it's not proving it to anybody. It's not even proving it to myself. I know where I'm at. I know what I'm capable of, and for the first time I put the work in. The work has been put all the way in, 100. And you'll see it Saturday. You see, I mean, I'm excited. I'm smiling ear to ear because I haven't been excited to. It's been a while since I've been like really excited to get into the cage, and I realized that I got anxiety from the cage. Not the big one, the small one here, because I would never train in it, right? So I took myself out of that comfort zone. I hopped in that little cage that we got at Jackson's with Juan Adams, big grizzly bear ass, and man, we had some really good rounds, and we got really comfortable there, and that's something I don't have to deal with. And I'm finding my home inside that little dog cage in there. I'm just saying that because what? It's 25 foot. The one they're going to have in Houston is probably a 30-footer. That makes a big difference when you 6'7", 250. Just saying.
Taking that into account, is there ever a time you think you'd say, can I wait until the big cage is in action? I'd rather fight in that than this little one.
Absolutely not.
Cool. During your fight where you mentioned about your arm going numb, I'm interested because, like you said, that's your nerves. That's a scary moment. Was there anything that goes through your head about, like, shit, maybe I should just call this a day and fight another day and see if this is a serious problem?
Absolutely not.
I thought that might be your answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Neal, good to see you again. Obviously, frustrating result last time out. Things didn't go your way. I guess, what did you take from that fight? I mean, do you feel, are there still lessons to learn at this point in your career?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the biggest lesson I feel like I had to learn over and over and over is just getting complacent. Like, as much as I wanted to, like, just say, like, oh, it was a bad night, it was a rough night, my coach kind of forced me to go back and watch that fight. He actually picked up some patterns and techniques that I was, like, kind of letting slide in training and that kind of thing, and he pointed them out to me. So I've been really, like, alert and attentive to, like, what I'm doing in training. That way it doesn't lead to, like, bad habits in a fight. So as frustrating as it was to experience that, it was definitely a lesson learned. I mean, it could have been a lot worse than what it was.
That's interesting. Is that a hard lesson for you to accept? I mean, I think, you know, as a veteran like yourself in this game, I mean, do you feel like, come on, coach, I know what I'm doing in there?
Yeah, I mean, and it's easy to come by. I mean, it's easy to get complacent the more you do it. I mean, I can remember being 28 years old, getting ready to fight Dave Mai, who was 30 at the time. And at the time, I'm riding a 7-fight win streak. I'm like, oh, I'm going to fight this old man? I got this. I got it in the bag. And I go out there, and he schools me pretty well. So I'm like, this is the kind of recurring thing. Like, I'll put some fights together, then I'll get, like, complacent and stuck in my ways, and tend not to, like, look to coaches for advice. Like, hey, coach, sit back. I got this one. But I have coaches for a reason. I need to be able to trust them and rely on them and understand that they have my best interest in mind at all times.
Yeah, it sounds like you're not trying to make any excuses whatsoever and owning up to it. But did Abu Dhabi have anything to do with it? I mean, that was kind of a weird environment to deal with, right?
I don't think so. I mean, at this point, I've literally fought all over the world. I mean, Europe, Asia, Middle East now. Like, it's literally been all over the place. So I don't necessarily think the travel had anything to do with it, but I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, either way, you're back. The matchup with Geoff, a matchup that was put together before, is it a matchup that you wanted to see come back together, or does that even matter to you?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's more about, like, me redeeming myself and doing the things that I know I'm capable of doing. It just so happened that Geoff is the guy to get to go out there and fight next. I have a lot of respect for him as a competitor. He's done a lot of good things in the sport so far. Up until the fight with Stevie Thompson, he was undefeated, so in the UFC at least. So to be able to go out there and test myself against an up-and-comer like that, I'm kind of excited about it. I mean, like, as dominant as my last couple of wins have been, everyone likes to put an asterisk on, like, oh yeah, Neal dominated Robbie Lawler, but Robbie Lawler's on the backside of his career. So it's like you know what, like give me these up and coming guys that like you guys want to see in the top 10, top 5, and let me face them in their prime. So there's no asterisk, there's no second guessing, there's no maybe he beat this guy because he was past his prime, anything like that. It's like I can hang the best in the world. So that's what I'm going out there to do.
Nice. When you break these kind of newcomers down, I mean, is there stuff that excites you or concerns you about their styles? I mean, at this point, are you like, dude, I've seen, like, you're literally not going to throw anything at me I haven't seen before?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they definitely won't throw anything new that you haven't seen before, but like the speed and explosion is definitely something that comes with the youth. So that's definitely something I have to take consideration, and I had to think of all through training camp. So I can't just like all right, go out there and rely on cardio, because he's a high pace fighter and he has that explosive power as well. So during my training, I had to take that into account and had to train for that as well. So as much as I like to like just go and run my 3 miles here and there and do all this cardio training, I had to really step it up and work on power and explosive energy as well.
Very nice. Last thing for me, I mean, obviously you want to pick up a win here. I mean, is there any type of special accomplishment or statement that you're trying to make here? I mean, you've proven everything in your career, but I just wonder if there's any kind of added emphasis behind things.
100%. It's go out there and put on an exciting fight. I mean, this is an amazing fight card for me to go out there and do just that. So I feel like the stage is set for me to go out there and shine and really kind of take steps away from my peers as far as the welterweight division goes. So I feel like it's a good opportunity to go out there and do that.
But you said you fought everywhere, all around the world, but not everywhere has race cars going around your hotel.
Yeah.
You said you want to start fighting up-and-comers and prove that you can beat these guys as they've got the hype behind them. Usually we hear fighters say that it's best to stay away from comments and social media. So why are you taking motivation from those naysayers and trying to change that sort of...
Well, it's just... I mean, in life, I said I didn't think of those things myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Robbie Lawler, for example, is a guy I trained since I was 19 years old. So, being able to fight Robbie Lawler at 32, I could definitely feel like, all right, you know what? Maybe the guy's a little different. But to go out there and prove myself, right, is what I want to do. I want to go out there and fight the best guys in their best state. I want to be able to beat them in their prime and that kind of thing. And that allows me to feel better about my accomplishments and my wins as well.
So, anyone in particular you're thinking of when you say that?
There's one guy, but I'll keep his name out of the mic. He's all over the place already. So, yeah, that newcomer will get his when the day comes.
I thought that might be the case.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, guys. He wants to kill Chimaya. Not quite.
Hello, Micheal Gillmore. I'm fighting out of Murcielago MMA, Lansing, Michigan, and I'm 34 years old.
Appreciate you joining us. I guess obviously you're kind of limited in what you can say, and we'll see it all unfold on the show. But just talk to us about, I mean, the emotion, I guess, of being here right now when it didn't look like you were going to be.
It's almost like it hasn't fully set in yet. It's been a blur. I don't even know what day I've got the call 2-3 days ago that an alternate was needed, and then I had to start my weight cut, do a COVID test, and then come in the house right away. So it was not a lot of time to even process it, and just now rehydrating after weighing in is, I think now I'll get a chance to process it a little bit when I get back to the house a little bit, let it soak in, and then be ready to fight.
What is the process of being an alternate? Like, so you knew ahead of the show, like you maybe we'll call you, maybe we won't. What do you do? I mean, do you train? Do you go back to normal life and just put it out of your mind? What do you do?
Well, they brought me here and I quarantined just like everybody else. I didn't know I was an alternate until right before the names were announced on the UFC fight card. The producer came in and let me know, so I didn't see it on the TV, of course, but I didn't know until then. And they said it's the outside looking in, and usually they fly the alternates back to where they're from, and if they're needed, they'll give them a call. I have family here in Las Vegas, fortunately, so I was able to just stay myself here. And if someone was needed, I thought being here gave me the best shot to be the one picked.
I was going to say, so that was a conscious decision on your part. Be like, hey, let's play my cards right. I'll be the first one they call.
Yeah, well, I went all in already coming here, so it was an easy decision to stay another couple weeks.
You say you went all in. You quit your job? Is that what I heard?
Yep. Yeah, I had to quit my job. I wasn't afforded a leave of absence. It was a policy that they had that they weren't willing to budge on. So I had to quit. It was a salary job, insurance, benefits, company car, all that. Had to turn it in right before I came out.
That's incredible. Difficult decision to make? I mean, that is really literally going all in on chasing your dream, right?
Yeah, it was. At first it was easy, and then when it was real, it was difficult. So at first it's easy. It's like playing here in Vegas. It's really easy to push the money in, and then once it's in, and you're like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I'm real happy that I did, and it worked out.
So I guess sitting here right now, it paid off. But you go all in, and you're an alternate. Is that like crushing to you, or are you an optimistic kind of guy?
No, I was trying to figure out what to do next. It was. It's the business, right? So I wasn't offended or bothered. I came here knowing that was a possibility, and I honestly didn't think that I would be. And then, so when it did happen, it was a little bit crushing. But thankfully, I've got some pretty good support at home, and it worked out.
That's awesome. Were you a fan of The Ultimate Fighter before? I mean, did you watch the previous seasons?
I've watched a handful of the seasons. Definitely a fan. I don't know anyone who hasn't or who has seen it who wouldn't become a fan of it. I haven't watched all of the episodes, but definitely some of the earlier ones. Rashad Evans, my coach, was his coach when he was on it. So when I joined the team was well after Rashad was gone, but knowing that, I went back and watched that season to a little bit motivation. And then there's been a couple of Michigan fighters on or seasons that I've watched and paid attention to those.
Yeah. So were you a wrestler growing up? Hailing from that part of the country,
I'm originally from Tucson, Arizona. I actually went to high school at Dominic Cruz, and I did wrestle for middle school through high school, but I didn't continue on to college. I chose football instead. I started that at 7, where the wrestlers start at 7. So it's easier to catch up in football than it is wrestling.
Yeah, no doubt. So when did you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to switch over to mixed martial arts and start doing this? And you had a pretty extensive amateur career as well.
Yeah, when football was done. So I finished up my senior year. It was cut short due to an injury. I was ranked in our conference. I was being looked at by NFL teams and Canadian teams. And I really thought I was going to be able to get back into the physical shape that I needed to play football. And during the recovery time, I saw my first MMA show live. It was a WEC in Columbus, Ohio, and Dominic Cruz was headlining. I didn't even know anything about fighting at that point. And it was Columbus was close enough to Michigan that I can drive, and I bought the tickets, saw that show live, and I was like, I think I can do this. And just seeing a buddy of mine, and we didn't keep in touch or anything like that while in school. I think Facebook was brand new, so it wasn't really easy to keep in touch with people like it is today. So when I saw a promo of him on TV, I was like, that's crazy. Let's go check what this is about.
That's amazing. So you get into it. When do you decide, hey, I'm going to chase after this as a professional career?
I had my amateur career was 11 fights, and I was scheduled to fight for my first title as an amateur. And I was not able to fight for any titles throughout my amateur career because all of my teammates had them. All of the local stuff, they all had them. So I was always just kind of fighting other guys and on the cards. And finally, the other guys were pro level, and there was an amateur belt available that I was going to fight for. And then my coach called me and said, a promoter, has a debut for you. What do you think? And so I jumped at that chance.
Take the paycheck over the amateur belt?
Yeah, the first ones aren't much though. That's not a good bet either.
Nice. Well, we look forward to watching the journey play out on TV. I guess is this all or nothing? I mean, if this doesn't work out, is this the end of the career, or do you feel like this is just you going all in, and whether it works out now or a little bit in the future, it's going to work out?
Oh no, I'm in for this for a while. So if this show doesn't work out, with me being the winner, I know that I'm going to go out there and put on a show, and I'm going to make some fans through the show. And I know that another opportunity is going to come because I'm going to work for it. So definitely not the end if this doesn't work out. I'm going to keep going and see how far I can ride it.
Just out of curiosity, could you describe your fighting style for people who may not have seen you?
It's kind of evolved a little bit into more of a striker. I started off a lot with ground and pound. I do still prefer that because it's harder to get punched when you're on top punching somebody. So I've learned at my gym a lot of higher level striking and started to love that a little bit more. So I tend to stick to the striking quite a bit. Thanks.
That's all right, bro. Everybody having the time.
Well, Diego, welcome back. I mean, last time you were here, amazing fight. I mean, really, really great fight, but obviously didn't come out with the result you wanted. But I'm curious how you feel after a fight like that, right? I mean, you left it all in there.
Exactly. That's what I did. You know, I gave my all on those 3 rounds. You know he did a lot. I pushed myself those all the way to the end. You know, to really come out with a victory. But it was not my night. You know, it's okay. I have another fight coming up. And it feels better. You know, it's a challenge. You know, when you have something like that. Especially like after you lose for so small decision, you know, we were really small, but you know, you have to get back stronger, and this is the time for me. You know, I took maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and the fight I took it in 3 weeks, and I'm happy. I'm really excited. You know, especially after 2020, get back here 2021 and do what I know I can do best. You know, I can do better, and it's fighting, and I'm excited for this one now.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround too, right? I mean, 3 months. So I'm curious, after a fight like that, I'd almost think you want to take some time off. But was it important for you to get booked again quickly, or is that just the way it worked out?
That's the way I want to work out. You know, I was not even taking a day, taking my time off. You know. Right away the next day I get back to the gym and I start calling people out from jiu-jitsu, you know, just to have a victory in something, you know. I was looking for that, and I'm glad I did a couple super fights, you know, in jiu-jitsu, got my hand raised, you know, everything go well, and now I'm here. It's so crazy because it's been not even 2 months, 3 months I think after my fight, and I'm waiting fighting again, and I'm super excited.
Yeah, and they gave you a tough guy too. It's interesting, right? Because I feel like it's kind of another situation where it's a guy that maybe doesn't get the respect, maybe doesn't get the attention, kind of like you, kind of like Micheal. So what did you think when they offered you this as an opponent?
I not even thinking twice, bro. I just you know, accept that the challenge. You know, was great because we both come from
loss. And it's gonna be at the end of the fight who won the most, who won, you know, the whole fight. And I'm really happy for that because, you know, it's not somebody come with straight victories. I'm still thinking I won that fight, but you know, was not going my way. But this one really gonna I really gonna try to finish too because he's a danger fighter. He's really good at his wrestling, you know. His pedigree on wrestling is super high, and I'm excited for this one. It's a good challenge for me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys wrestling. I mean, obviously everybody's well-rounded now, but you fought some pretty good wrestlers in your career. So I mean, when you see his game, I mean, do you feel like he's the best you've ever faced, or do you feel like you fought guys that can do what he does?
I really don't. I don't even measure, you know, like that. I think we're the same. You know, we have our little things different. And I think with the same people fighting, I think not even gonna go that grappling. Look how much me and Benel did. We don't did so much grappling. He tried to hold me down. Yeah, but it was good because as soon as I stand up, you know, I get on his face and start, you know, punch out. I think that's what's gonna be on our fight too. You know, he gonna try taking me down because that's his strength part of his strategy and his game. And I need to capitalize on that, just getting myself up, you know, and try to strike or try get some jiu-jitsu movement, you know, getting the finish. That's what I'm looking for now.
Nice. Last thing for me, I mean, as you said, that fight was so close. It was so great. I mean, does it still feel like a big opportunity to keep building your name? Because I think people that watched that last fight would say that was amazing, and this is another big opportunity. Does it feel like you're kind of still on the rise even though you just lost?
Yeah. I'm still thinking, you know, I don't have a compare all those guys. They have a lot of fights on UFC. I did not because I got suspension for 2 years waiting for that, and those guys passed it in front of me because I was waiting. But I think that's the opportunity for me to build up, you know, to get to the top. And I think I taking this as smart as I can, you know, because I want to fight before the
the end of the year again, you know, and if you have to be on a short notice fight again, you know, I just want to build my confidence, my strategy, you know, and get there on the top 5 with a good, you know, a good way to say I'm here now. You know, that's what the right word to say.
I was wondering, after a great fight like you had, but one that you didn't win, is that more tough to take because it was so close, or is it more motivating because you think, oh man, I was just there, it doesn't matter, I get it the next time?
No, I was real motivated for myself. Why? Because like when you have a 6 straight wins on UFC, it's not easy. You know, it's like really have to stand up your game. You know, you really have to like pick it up your game. And from that loss, you know, I took like a really like to learn, you know, learn little things I need to go, you know, especially my wrestling. I have a time more to work. My coach Gaza has been helping me so much, like on defense. I know he's still gonna take me down for this fight. You know, it's something, you know, he does his best, but you know, I don't know if he's gonna hold me down for too long so I can strike and give him my all. Cool. Awesome.
Thanks, sir.
Hey guys, thank you.